This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and we got a packed house, not just on this side of the camera, but on the other side of the camera. That's because we have one of my favorite people and two of my newest friends in the studio. That's Chris Drama, a Buckeye, Akron, Ohio native like me.
Yep. That
just means we are born to succeed because everything, it's like being born broke. I feel sorry for the rest of you. Born in Akron, Ohio, I feel sorry for the rest of you because no matter what you do, you're always in a better place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's true.
and I got your two partners from the Group Chat podcast.
Yep.
You got Anand and Dee Murthy. And we got that, and I'm going to even try to say Chris Drama's last name is Pfaff.
That's it.
With an F, see?
Nailed
So
it.
I just had to do it, man.
Ohio.
Anyway, enough of the pleasantries. You guys have a new podcast together.
Yep.
And I love the format because I wish I could do a podcast with two of my boys to just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about.
It's so fun.
Is that what you guys do?
That's it.
Yeah, it really came from like conversations about a year after Drama launched Short Story Long. We were just sitting in our office and, Drama coming from Akron, and I've known him since now 20 years old. And he would always walk into our office and be like, okay, so the interest rates just got raised, or we're attacking Iran, or what's going on at Coachella. Like literally every single topic you can imagine. We were sitting and discussing, sometimes arguing. Everyone had their own opinion. And we kind of sat around one day and we're like, man, this should be a podcast. And the real reason why is that we feel there's too much misinformation in the world, and it's not given from the perspective of people actually living those stories. It's usually people commenting on Bloomberg about entrepreneurship who've never done it.
Yeah, or they misunderstand what's going on. My biggest problem with growing this brand, and you guys probably have the same feeling, is the most frustrating thing is as I do a video to inspire people to teach a lesson, and I'll give an example. I did a video about Steve Jobs, who is one of my mentors, heroes, right? I had the world's first Windows CE device.
Yeah.
I was in the space. This guy's incredible, but I wanted to make a point that there's so much out there that 100 years from now, everyone will remember Apple, but they won't remember Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Just like they don't know who George Eastman is right now from
Yeah.
Kodak Eastman.
Yeah.
And especially if you haven't been as philanthropic as like the Gates Foundation, where you remember the name Gates, or you remember the name Vanderbilt because he gave $2 million to Central University. And the comments just started coming in.
Yeah.
And
Negative?
Yeah. That I was hating on Steve Jobs where I wasn't at all.
Yeah.
Right.
I was making a point that, hey, let's create a legacy for ourselves.
Yeah.
If you want your vibration, your frequency to be known after you're gone, you have to do a lot more than even build the greatest company of all time.
Yeah.
That was my point, whether it was well taken or not. This is a real problem because it's only going to get worse.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I think your podcast is so important, because I think it's important for people to share their ideas from a true perspective and be able to articulate whether we're from different cultures, different countries, different states, different worlds like Akron, Ohio, to see those perspectives and to figure out our own truth. Because that's the only way it's going to work now. You got to figure out your truth and go with it.
I also think it's important for people to get the perspective of people that are actually living the lives that they want to live. And usually, like, I won't go to any conferences or panels because everyone's lying. They're full of shit.
Right.
They're like, oh, yeah, just work hard and be passionate. And like, yeah, okay. If that was the case for everyone, we'd have a lot more successful people. There's a lot of elements that go in between working hard and passion that creates success. And so we just like to share the whole story. When you read about a headline thing about WeWork or Airbnb or all these companies that are Uber that everyone idolizes, we like to break down, like, how did we get here?
Here's the other thing that I think is so important is I grew up, like you just said, in Ohio, grew up skateboarding, didn't go to college. And so even though I had these like entrepreneurial dreams, I felt so disconnected from real entrepreneurs. And I felt like, okay, so what do I do? Like I read a bunch of business books, I watch Bloomberg, like it felt so different from me. And I think entrepreneurship is cooler than ever. Every young person wants to start a business now. But there's not many like cool people guiding you and telling you how to do that. That's why I think you do really well, right? I think that being able to be exposed to people like you or like us or these certain people that are saying, oh, they're not that different from me. They're not all weird and buttoned up and corporate and with a tie on. And you know what I'm saying? I can relate to those people. I think there's a huge lane for that. You know what I mean? So we want to talk to those people too.
And I think too, entrepreneurial heroes, right? And which really, who would ever thought, if you guys come upstairs in my office, which you're invited to do afterwards, you'll see my Phillip Rivers jersey, right? Because moved to San Diego, and that's my team. And Dan Fouts jersey's outside in the hallway. And then you have my Ellis Island Medal of Honor. But in the middle of my office, if somebody would have told me even 3 years ago that I'd have number 1 of 500 Crushing It signed by Gary V poster, right? That's my centerpiece of my office. And it's because the freelancer, the entrepreneur, are going to save the world, right? We're the ones, and that it's not these pretend people, politicians, executives, and I've been those people, right? I mean, my story is about, hey, don't oversell, back and sell, lie, manipulate, and cheat. Don't play the game. Go ahead, be yourself, find your frequency, provide value. Everything will come to you in a faster and more accurate way. And when I listen to you guys, I get that real feel as well, that same frequency. And you guys get to bounce. The advantage you have is, this is just my opinion when I'm on and talking, wherever that is, you guys get to, I wish somebody was there going, hey, no. In fact, one of the things I'd love to do TV show-wise is I'd love to have a show called Dinner with the Meltzers.
Yeah.
My wife is an outstanding character.
Yeah.
But, the 4 kids, and see how a real family has dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Because my family, and just, it'd be easy to do because I'm eating dinner at least once a week anyway, right?
Yeah.
And just literally do something like that. That's the way I kind of feel with you guys. It's kind of like group chat podcast is like you guys are just hanging, having a beer.
It's so cool. And that's what
Tequila.
like we literally
Tequila even better.
we
As long as it's Clase Azul or Nosotros.
we call each other out. We call each other idiots. We whatever. And then like even like you said, when you said the thing about Steve Jobs and like you got a lot of hate for it, we'll read those comments and we'll call our listeners idiots. And like we have this thing where we're able to be way more lighthearted about it and have fun. And that's what also we've noticed our audience gravitates to the most, is like if Dee says something ridiculous and Anand and I say he's crazy and whatever, people really latch on to that moment and really are dynamic as friends. And then you kind of, I feel like what's happening is you're tuning in because you want to hear these 3 friends talk, and a side effect is you're learning and you're feeling more informed. But really you feel like you're just, tuning in to hear your 3 buddies talk, So it's a cool, we found a cool thing in that sense.
Yeah, really
and it's
cool.
not contrived at all because we actually have different perspectives. I think that's the unique thing. Like the way I view the world is different than the way Dee views the world, and Drama views the world coming from Akron. Even though we grew up together as brothers, we view the world from a business sense.
Trust me, my brother's a rabbi. We view the world a whole different.
Yeah, that's so good. You should do a
this
pod with him.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you get this authentic discussion with differing viewpoints with people who have expertise in what we're talking about.
That's
I
awesome.
think the other thing that a lot of people struggle with, which I think what podcasts are doing, is people can actually talk freely and give your honest opinion without being judged. And I mean, yeah, you're going to be judged, but at least I have the lane to give that opinion. Whereas in traditional media, you're not allowed to give your opinion.
Right. And even as a solopreneur here, as a podcaster myself, which was an accidental podcaster, I'm tentative sometimes about saying certain things where, because of the dynamic between 3 friends, you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I'll give an example right here on the show because I'd love to hear, and it's something I don't talk about for obvious reasons, but if you guys are comfortable, I'd love you guys to talk about the President of the United States.
Yeah.
You guys ever?
Of course.
All day we talk about
him almost every
I
episode.
Yeah. So, like, give me your opinion as far as what's going on with the president and the impeachment side.
So I'm falling off the left liberal.
Yeah.
My view is, obviously didn't vote for him as president, but being a Democrat and watching my party try to impeach the president is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's counterproductive. It's not good for the country, and it's not good for the concept of creating energy for your party, because it's more negativity. And we're so negative right now, and we're compounding with negativity. He raised $46 million in the last quarter, Donald Trump, because of the impeachment. Because they're like, oh, you're going to impeach our guy? Fuck you. Here's some more money for him. And that, to me,
You're giving
is
him
like,
energy.
It's just like, I love that AOC and Elizabeth Warren and all these people have created energy for young people, but some of it's in the wrong direction, and it unfortunately hurts. It ultimately hurts all of us because we have 2 polarizing views, and most of the country's in the middle.
Right.
And that's really the challenge. And I feel that we've gone to one extreme, and now we're going to end up going into another extreme in the next 4 to 8 years. And it's not good for the average person. We're in a privileged situation. Honestly, regardless of who's president, my life's going to be fine.
Mine too.
And that's the sad part, because when I try to explain to people, I'm like, Donald Trump got elected by the middle of the country, but took care of the coasts. So cool. He's been great for me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help the average person in this country. And that's kind of where I have a real problem with the way people view politics.
And Anand, how do
Yeah,
you go?
I view Trump as basically the symptom, not the cause. So he's sort of like the Joker. He brought out what existed in the country.
Yeah.
And he brought out this extreme viewpoints on all these different issues. And that's the thing that I think people on the coast don't want to accept. They think it's just one guy with these crazy opinions. No, he actually reflects a large portion of the country.
They got
Until
51 million votes.
Yeah.
Right. And until people on the coast decide to have an honest conversation with people that different opinion, we're not going to get anywhere. I thought the Golden Globes last night was perfect. Ricky Gervais just
Yeah, it was
shitting
awesome.
on all the liberal elites. Like, you guys are just so hypocritical. And I think people in the Midwest are sick of coastal elites thinking that all the people in the Midwest are a bunch of idiots. And I think that's what Trump
Or the
was-
South.
Or the
Right?
South.
They think
And
the
I think
South.
Trump.
Maybe the South. Though.
I don't know, man. I made that mistake. I made that mistake in law school. I went to Tulane Law School to be a maritime lawyer.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's all these guys from Louisiana and Texas with their,
Yeah,
slang.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm getting an A in this class.
Yeah.
And they were like the smartest kids. I'm like,
It's tricky.
this sounds stupid, man. They're way smarter than me.
Yeah, they're tricky.
And what about you, Drama?
I agree with these guys on both of those things. I think the biggest thing that's changed for me is like 6 months ago, if you would have asked me, I would have just said, Trump's an idiot, get him out of office.
Right.
Like Dee said, the way that the Democrats have handled the whole situation makes me embarrassed for them also. And now I truly feel caught in this weird middle zone where I don't by any means agree with Trump or his rhetoric. I think the most damaging part is not any of Trump's lack of knowledge, his policies, any of that. I think that it's when you champion hateful energy. It does more damage than anyone knows. And it's damage that you can't quantify. But when these people see their leader saying hate and building walls and driving people out is the right strategy to make things better, it's fundamentally very, very flawed. And those people are just getting co-signed that their worst instincts are right because a leader is telling them that. And they look at Trump as a billionaire, very successful, the meaning of success. I think the damage that will do to this country is worse than anyone knows. But I feel caught in the middle because the AOCs and those people of the world, Elizabeth Warren, I don't relate to that either. And I think they're also doing some tricky facts on their campaign trails.
It gets interesting for me because being older and seeing all this stuff is it like I'm a lawyer, went to law school. My mom made me take the bar. I hated it because it was like one side was so pushed one way that the other started right. And I feel the same thing in politics now, where it's like, wait a second, we were this close when we started.
Yeah.
Remember, the biggest argument in politics before was it was too much of the middle.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
both parties were like the same.
Right. Exactly.
Then all of a sudden now we become like lawyerly that everyone's there. One quick question about this, and I'm going to move on, is do you think the president needs to be a good person? Because to me, that
That's a
is
good question.
an issue, right? Like if you do or you don't, but
I do.
Yeah.
I just feel that there's a moral compass of being a leader. Like, I didn't agree with George Bush in any way, but I felt when I heard him speak, he felt sincere. He felt bad when things went wrong. I don't know, he just felt, and I didn't vote for him either, but like there's something about his personality where I felt like, you know what, he realizes he made mistakes. He realized as a child he made mistakes. And I don't know, I couldn't.
It's great that you say that because
Yeah.
you guys will love this. I told my wife this. I said 3 things happened with presidents that I never thought as a child. When I was a child, when they asked what you wanted to be, about a third to a half of kids would say, I want to be president of the United States.
Wow. Yeah.
Now every kid's too smart to say that.
Yeah, I want to be Jake Paul.
But I said, if somebody would have told me in my lifetime that I would be a better speaker than a president.
Yeah.
And I truly believe I'm a better speaker than George Bush.
Yeah.
Right? I really do think I'm a better, and as I spill over myself, I'm still better than he was. 2, that I'd be more honest than a president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I even knew Nixon, and I'm like, gosh, but you're still president. You're
Yeah.
under such a microscope, and especially now.
But that's what Trump did. He kind of tore down the institution of presidency and what we think and idealize a president should be, and he came and burned it all down.
But there's some good to it, right? I'm
Right.
and here with drama on this issue. One of the things that I noticed is thank goodness for him, because to me, like with cybersecurity, they hire those like super guys to break into your computer to show you where the holes are.
Yeah.
He's like the mole, right? He's like the president that was brought in to show us where all the holes in the system are.
Yeah.
Because he's so good at exploiting all the holes.
Yes.
So like after him, we're like, close up this one so that we have
Yeah.
more fairness within this party and this part of the bureaucracy, right? And
Yeah.
so I do think that he's elevated our awareness to some ancient flaws of our Constitution that need to be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very optimistic view, and I hope that you're right. The thing that I lean towards is I think he just completely changed the rules. I think it's like when you say there is a standard to the presidency, and someone comes in and shatters that, it changes. It's like if you look up to your dad growing up, and your dad does something that completely changes the way that you look at what dads are supposed to do.
I'm going to start crying if you keep going. You know my story.
What I'm saying is exactly that could change your perception of fatherhood forever.
Yeah.
Not necessarily make you say, okay, here's where the gaps are of being a bad dad. I'm going to make sure I close those up and blah, 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 right? So I hope that you're right. My instinct tells me that the way that like Republicans have completely ignored the old way and just rallied around Trump blindly, just party over country blindly, and the way that I think citizens have rallied around Trump, even though there's some glaring issues, makes me feel like maybe the rules are just changed forever, and maybe The Rock will be our next president.
I wouldn't put that past him either.
The other thing I've noticed definitely recently is that smart, successful people that I know that are by no means in support of Trump find the left just insufferable.
Yeah.
And the rhetoric from the left, the policies that they're talking about. So, like, where do we go from here? That's the scary part.
Yeah, and I think it's reverse is true, too, with the left and the right that I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Let's get into the entrepreneurship side of stuff, because I see extraordinary opportunity. I'm in my own business, never seen so much opportunity in my life. The world is opened up. Technology, process, memory, speed of everything, the ability to have your own signal, your own spectrum, and literally the clarity of your own message, where, before, when you were a local store starting out, you could only, and you're in Akron, Ohio, and you're at the Lawsons, right? You got your little community.
Yeah.
If you come up with the right idea, you can distribute so easily that idea. And I'm just talking products, services, solutions, content.
Yeah.
If you have the right idea, you have 4.2 billion people at a very low cost barrier of entry. 4.2. That changes all of entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Correct.
Absolutely.
And you guys are the ones that are going to save the world, regardless of the rhetoric of politics, what happens with our government. Because, very interesting things like take one of the biggest issues in the world politically, global warming or climate change, right? Huge issue. But you and I, all of us know some entrepreneur is going to figure out how to fill back up the hole.
I'm counting
Correct.
on Elon Musk. Really.
Yeah, he might be it. Or what? I've seen some pretty sharp young people that cancer, healthcare, all these issues can become non-issues really quickly. What do you see? Because I'm looking as an older, more traditional business person who got into this game. As young people, where do you see the biggest opportunities if you're mentoring like an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old that's dropping out of high school or dropping out of college? Where's that mentorship? What are you guys seeing where you say, look, I'd look into this. This is where I put my energy.
So, I mean, our background, mine personally, has always been in fashion and consumer stuff. So my initial advice to everyone is, so growing up, the grocery store, the mall told me what to buy. And today, your phone tells you what to buy. So if you look at your bathroom, your closet, what you wear, what you watch, it's all about how you get someone's attention. So everything is up for grab. I grew up using Right Guard because it was what my dad used.
Yeah.
My son is not going to use Right Guard. He's going to discover his own deodorant on his phone, and he's going to use...
And P&G's going to be pissed because they've lived off of that model for literally 100
Exactly.
years.
Gillette, Right Guard. I mean, I literally...
right? Dracar Noir, all the brands that your dad's used,
Exactly.
right?
And
especially for men, because we just follow the road.
Exactly. And so I look at the entire consumer landscape from food. I think food is going to be completely disrupted, the way we eat. Like, I look at the way my child eats. I have a 2-year-old. he hasn't had sugar really in 2 years. And like,
jeez.
it's just the way he's going to live his life is so different than the way I live mine and what he's going to be exposed to.
He's not gonna have that great body.
Yeah. there's a
D's
tequila
like,
belly
F
here.
you, Dave.
But I think the real idea is if you can build a connection with people, you can build a brand, and build a business, and do anything.
An emotional connection.
Correct, and the best present day example is actually Drama's girlfriend. His girlfriend started as a game called We're Not Really Strangers, and it was about, I guess, the vulnerability of women.
Yeah, having vulnerable conversations with people.
Yeah.
And they started as a game. And I remember when she launched the game, she was talking to us about it. She simultaneously created a social media account. It exploded. And this is what, a year and a half later, it's going into all stores of a major retailer, has a thriving e-commerce business. And it wouldn't have been possible except for the fact that she connected with people on a level that other brands were not able to connect with. And I think that's the world we live in today, is that if you know how to connect with human beings, you could sell them anything. The thing is, you have to connect with them.
Yeah.
And that's what old brands don't get. They'll go buy an ad on the Super Bowl. They'll spend millions of dollars sponsoring. We've done it, sports franchises, all that type of stuff. If you don't back it up with a connection, then it doesn't work, right? Like you have to have
I would
both.
almost prelude it with a connection, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't think, I was saying today, the word broadcast, you can't broadcast unless you already have an audience.
Yeah.
Before you could broadcast to the audience,
Yeah.
that's not the mental or the emotional state of the audience anymore.
Yeah.
You need to emotionally connect and then have enough people in your audience to broadcast to them.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
And that's really the opportunity of entrepreneurs today. If you know how to connect with a group of people, you're good to go. You can figure out what to sell them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the biggest quality that young people have, especially as entrepreneurs, is to be naive enough to think you can disrupt an industry. And politics aside, whether you agree with them or not, what Greta and Emma Gonzalez are doing, they're just like, these are issues that I'm passionate about, and I'm going to try to do something about it. And if you think about the best entrepreneurs, they entered industries where you're like, there's no way that's going to happen. Uber, for example. I'm going to go against the taxi industry
Come on, man.
across the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, everyone's like, early on, everyone thought Uber was a disaster. They're like, there's no way this is going to work. And
Look at the biggest taxi company in the world has no taxis. The biggest hotel company in the world has no hotels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, literally go down the list what's going on.
Yeah.
If you don't think you can disrupt it at this time, you'll
Yeah.
never be able to disrupt it.
Absolutely.
Big time.
It's incredible. What about you, Drum? What do you see out
So
there?
once again, because I'm last in line, of course, I agree with these guys 100%, which I wish I didn't because it's funner if we debate.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to take a different route. I think the access to information to even learn how to be an entrepreneur, to kind of echo what I said before.
You
It's
said the word access. Remember that, kids.
yeah, and I have so much like empathy for that person, that next person that wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to do whatever it is, and now has the ability to, because once again, growing up in a place like Akron, Ohio, my parents didn't stress college. They didn't push like, go start a business, go live this amazing life, right? It was kind of like, I don't know, go to high school, marry some girl from your high school, work at
some
the
kids.
local, whatever, have some kids. This will be great. And I think having the access to that information to even spark that education, I mean, it's insane. You can literally, I mean, I think now the smarter move is to skip college in most businesses and learn about it from books and podcasts and mentors and connecting with people and whatever. And the fact that, like, even when I started my podcast 3 years ago, I've interviewed and sat down and had discussions with people and met great people like you through nothing more than social media and just connecting with people and saying, hey, I have this podcast. You want to come talk to me? And people are like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Right.
And like, there's this new spirit of like, yeah, I don't know. If somebody looks like they're legit, I should probably sit down and have coffee with them and have a conversation. And I don't know. I just feel like the same way that like retail and marketing was all kind of controlled by shelf space and by, you know, big conglomerates, information was also kind of controlled. And now it's very free. It's there if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question as we get to this. What's interesting is the fear that people think this is easy. Yeah. You and I know that didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming from being one of the older guys on the internet,
Yep.
you know, truly not selling anything, you can check it out, but it's to help people. My biggest fear is that, you know, most entrepreneurs are 35 to 55 years old. There's extraordinary opportunity, but there's a lot of lessons to learn in business. So you've been in fashion,
Yeah.
right? The dummy tax that you've seen paid, et cetera. All of you guys from the industries that you've been in, you know, number one, that you've worked really, really hard and smart with a lot of mentorship involved, but you also know there's a lot you don't know. All three of you, just meeting you, you are in
Well,
the
not Dee.
perspective.
Dee thinks he knows.
He knows everything.
I've already peaked.
Did you?
Yeah.
8th grade?
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, but I feel like the simplicity of some people, you know, that come to me and ask for help, and I say things like, do you have an executive summary or a business plan? Because there's a million great ideas out of there.
Yep.
And things are created twice, once when you think about them, then once when they materialize. But they don't materialize without intent, activity, action, and truly desire. But it takes a while. My biggest fear is I don't want people quitting in 5 years. All these entrepreneurs, these freelancers, I don't want them to say, oh, well, you know, it's tough.
Yep.
Right? My mom was right. I should have stayed in Akron and just got married and had kids, et cetera.
Yep.
Because, you know, every overnight success that I know is about 17 and a half years in. And there's some anomalies like the LeBron James in sports.
Yeah.
But most of the guys that you see on Sundays and Saturday nights on TV, they started when they were 5 and they were born with some gifts.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing's true about successful entrepreneurs. I can tell you three are born with gifts, but combined with those gifts is activity, intent, and desire. You work consistently, persistently every day. Do you see any advice or anything that you want to share? We'll start with you this time, Drama.
Yep.
You know, about that type of, you know, surface player, the you know, the chic entrepreneur. I told somebody the other day, I go, I'm up in Hollywood. I go, it's so funny. I go, entrepreneurs are kind of like actors when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When you ask someone what they do and they're like working at the coffee shop, right? I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be I'm an actor, right?
As long as it's in your Instagram bio.
They got a
it
side
counts.
CBD hustle.
Yeah.
But they're serving me my burger.
Yeah.
That's cool.
100%.
But I don't want them quitting is my point.
Yeah, so here's my honest opinion. And we on group chat, we're very blunt. So in the spirit of that, I'm going to do that here. Some people are always going to make it. Some people always aren't. And I think that for people like us to try to look out for every single human is a really tough thing to do. I'm at peace with the fact that some people just don't want it enough. Some people aren't going to work enough. Some people,
What do you think that percentage is?
I think the majority don't want it enough.
Yeah, 90%. I think.
Yeah, I think that people.
10%.
Yeah.
No matter what workshops and all the stuff that people buy,
Yeah.
the same 10% are going to be successful.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
if you go to those workshops and you're successful, then the Grant Cardones and the Deans, all my friends,
Yeah.
they just take credit for it. And I'm like, dude, that guy would have been successful.
Yeah.
You
And
just
that's
got
the beauty of
25
it.
grand from everybody else to say that guy's successful because of me.
Exactly.
I got kids I mentor, multimillionaires, and I know in the back of my head, I'm like, I've been mentoring him since I'm 19. Yeah, because I knew the kid was going to be successful, so I gave him a few tweaks.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not bragging about the guy that has no potential.
Yes. And
Still
that's
an
why I
Akron.
think- That's why I think like same comparison to LeBron James. Like I think if you're a great high school basketball coach, you have to find the next LeBron James and really spend your time on that because that's something special.
The 10%.
If a kid comes in, the 90% that just says he really wants it and has posters all over his wall, but just doesn't have it, you got to let that kid go to make the LeBron James.
Right, and make him prove it to you, because then there's the 1% on the other side
Yep.
that nobody believes can makes it
Yes.
and gets really pissed
Yes.
and makes it.
Yes, and that is who. That's why I think that my take on it is still optimistic, even though that part's a little harsh. Is for the 10% that is going to make it, I think it's easier than ever to make it. I think that there was
I
a
agree.
large portion of that 10% that actually had it. They had the drive, they had the whatever, but because of the circumstances where they were born, their family, their access to resources, they just were screwed. There's no way you could have won that battle. I think now those people have resources. They have social media. They have more outlets than ever, and more LeBron James will become LeBron James. I think that's the optimistic part of this whole story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to piggyback on Drama saying, and what you said, that every overnight success is 10 plus years long, right?
Yeah.
No one just makes it right away. And it's really the drive and the urge, like the sense of like, I'm not giving up. Because it's so easy, as easy it is to start a business, it's just as easy to give up. So
It's
I think,
easier.
yeah, it's easier. Exactly. So I think it's just like the 10%, I think they would have made it in any time period. And just like Drama said, it's just easier now to make it for that same 10%. And entrepreneurship's not meant for everyone. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway. You have to really be willing to give up 10 years plus of your life, social life, just working 7 days a week. And that's the part of entrepreneurship that doesn't get mentioned when it's just glorified.
Yeah, it's like esports, right? They look at, Ninja. I was like, you realize that dude takes one weekend off, he loses 30,000 subscriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's
It's insane.
golden handcuffed himself, but
Yeah.
the amount of gaming he has to do to get to where he's at, like even those types of opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, are not easy.
Yeah.
Right? No one's just giving it away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
And
know.
I think
Indeed.
for me, it's really, I think entrepreneurship should be because you want the independence, you feel like you can make an impact, and it can't be about just money. Because I would argue, I've been an entrepreneur 17 years. If I took a nice investment banking job when I was 22, I'd probably have more money.
Or sell insurance.
Yeah,
Right?
you know what I'm
I
saying?
guarantee, build
Yeah.
a book of insurance, you'd be 17 years rich.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you can sell.
And I feel, I've done well, but like, I didn't do this because of money. I did it because I really, really enjoyed it. And even all the decade of hardship was worth it because I have a life that exactly is how I imagined my life would be. And so I'm able to mold my life into my interest and my passions and stuff like that. But I think people go into it purely for money, then you're going to be in a scary place really soon because it is really hard to make money on your own.
Yeah, Dee, and you made a good point because I've lived this side of it. Is even if you make it and all you cared about was money, you end up empty.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Then I had to refigure and re-engineer everything out.
Yeah.
So money can buy happiness only in respect it gives you the option to buy what you want. But if you buy the right things, you'll be happy. You buy the wrong things, you won't be. And that'll be for the next episode. I really wanted you guys to come on the Playbook because the group chat podcast that you guys have, I wanted people to get a flavor of it here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it really is what people need to hear. And if they're not listening, I want all my listeners, followers to join these guys. I'm a huge fan,
Thank you,
obviously, of drama. And now my two brothers over here,
Yeah.
Dee and Anand. You guys
Thank
are
you.
welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
And you got to come on ours.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
will.
Anytime.
I would love to. We'll really chat it up. So when I'm up there, let's make sure we do that and any help I can give. Just last real quick rapid fire because I don't want to leave it on a note. I don't get great entrepreneurs like you all together. I love the best piece of advice that you each can give. Or, the one lesson you learn that, like for me, it's be kind to your future self, do good deeds. That's the one I always give people. I'll start with you, Dee.
Patience. Everything takes time.
Perfect.
Don't be motivated by money.
Nice.
Learn so much access to information, books. You can find out people's favorite books. You don't even have to wade through all the crappy ones. You can get right to the good ones. Don't stop learning. It's really easy with social media to feel like you need to act like you're there now. Realize that it's part of the process and keep learning.
That's my boy. Life is about lessons. The lessons will keep on coming until you learn them. It'll result in pain, emotional, physical, spiritual pain. If you haven't learned them, greatest thing about lessons is you're going to forget every single one, but you have the ability to access them, even ones you don't know at any time. That's what my boy's saying from the Buckeye State. This is Dave Meltzer with Drama, Anand, and Dee from the Group Chat podcast, and now the Playbook.